Happy 4th of July, or if you're outside the US, happy Friday. I'm Joe, and since today is an American holiday, I thought I would celebrate with a build of an American car, even if that build is a set that comes from a German company, most likely made with Chinese bricks. But today I've got a BlueBrixx car, and it is called that. I do not speak German, but it is supposed to be an American-style car, which, based on my very, very limited automotive knowledge and some research I did, is the Camaro Z28, although I am sure it's not licensed. So clearly this is a different kind of set because our box is barely marked. It's just plain cardboard. But I had seen on videos from battery-powered bricks, that's how other BlueBrixx sets come. So let's start off by taking a look at what's inside the box. It looks like we have just a lot of bags of parts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It looks like about 20 bags of parts. There are no numbers on the bags, so we might have a chore of sorting to do. But this is actually not that much different than what I do when I'm splitting out parts for a rebrickable model using a Creator 3-in-1 set. So what I'll probably do is find some plastic trays and try to group the parts as logically as I can. Typically, in other BlueBrixx sets that I've done for Star Trek, they do have numbered bags, but they have several bags with the same number, so I just put each bag in its own tray, and there aren't pieces repeated across bags, so they're pre-sorted a little bit. But this is a 1,072-piece model, so I've got my work cut out for me here, especially since it looks like almost all the pieces are going to be either yellow or black. You'll also notice that no instructions came out of the box. The instructions are digital for this model, as they are for a lot of BlueBrixx models. That was also something I was aware of from previous videos from battery-powered bricks. I did look up measurements on this model. It is supposed to be comparable to a Lego Icons car, which I haven't built many of, but I will try to find one to do a comparison with when I get done. So we'll get these parts sorted and see if we can build this car. So there's our American car. Once I got all the pieces separated and sorted, it really wasn't too bad to build. And since all the pieces are pretty much either yellow, black, or just a little bit of gray, barely any other pieces of any other color, I mostly separated by piece size after I separated between the yellow and the black. And then I followed the digital instructions, which I have to say are definitely for a more experienced builder, because we're dealing with a symmetrical car, so you're doing a lot of the builds on the same side. And the instructions just kind of assume that you know to do that. Like, let's say there's this tile right here, and you've got to put one on each side. The step would say you need 2 tiles, but it would only show you putting the one on. It just assumes that you know to put one on the other side. There was a lot of that in the instructions, so an experienced builder wouldn't have any trouble with that. A child probably might get confused. But other than that, the build process was good, but I have to admit, I feel like something is missing with this model. There's no printed pieces, there's no stickers, but there's also nothing specialized about it, no innovative building techniques. In fact, this is mostly just plate-on-plate construction for the most part, and if it wasn't for some slopes in various places, this would just be a rolling brick. I still think it looks all right. I think it does a good job of what it's trying to represent, which officially is an American sports car. I still think it's the Camaro. And there's a lot of good in this model. It's just, I'm just not sure how to describe it. I'm not an automobile expert, so forgive me for when I mispronounce things or misidentify things on the car. I thought it looked cool being yellow with black stripes, but it does have some nice features, and we'll look at those a little closer. We'll start here in the front of the car, where we've got the larger headlights and small headlights. We have the black stripes on the hood, and there is an engine under there. I'm going to save that for last, and I'll let you know why in just a minute. As we go around to the driver's side, we have just the one side mirror. There's not one on the passenger side. But if this is a 1977 Camaro, like I think it is, I had a 1974 Ford as my first car, and I know it only had a driver's side mirror, so maybe that was normal for the 70s. The door does open, but there's no sophisticated door mechanism. That's just 3 hinge plates right there, but the door opens just fine. It's actually a little bit stiff, but I have found that BlueBrixx hinge plates are stiff anyway. The inside looks quite comfortable, actually. Much more comfortable than I would think a Camaro would be, because we've got front bucket seats, and we actually have rear bucket seats as well. And the driver and passenger can actually recline their seat if they wanted to. Those are just on click hinges. We look inside, we've got the steering wheel. We just have blank pearl silver tiles there for dials, and this lever here does move a little bit, but it doesn't do anything. The steering wheel is not connected to anything. There's no steering mechanism in this vehicle. And we can see the door handle here uses the telephone piece to be a handle. Then when we close the door, the connection is very snug. There is no gap, not like the beach camper van, which had a half plate gap there. And what kind of bugs me is that the door doesn't line up here to the back of the car. Now, looking at pictures of Camaros, there's actually supposed to be a curve up in the door, because the back of the car is higher up than the most of the door, but there's nothing here to smooth that transition, so it just makes it look like the door is assembled wrong, but this was the way the model was designed. The rear windshield here is a windshield piece that is actually sideways, one of the few unusual building techniques used in this model. The rear end has tail lights and clear lights for, I guess those are the reverse lights. And we've got a 1x2 tile to represent where a license plate would go. The passenger side is pretty much exactly the same, except for the lack of a passenger mirror. And these supports here are not connected to anything on the top. They're just there to kind of fill in the space. And then one thing I forgot on the front side is we do have a trans orange plate in there to be like the turn signal or the parking light or whatever those were called back in that day. And the other thing I noticed with the door is not only do the heights not line up, the door doesn't close all the way. And it's just a very, very minor thing. But it makes me feel like something's not attached right when that keeps falling off. One thing also to note, and I don't know if I can really show this on camera, is that the rear wheels are actually just a tad farther apart than the front wheels. Like, here's the front wheel, and you can see it ends just before you get to the lip of this particular like hubcap piece, this wheel well piece. Then when you get to the back, it sticks out just a little bit. It's almost like a plate width difference. And that is intentional by the designer. I think that this is supposed to mimic having wider rear tires, but instead of putting wider rear tires on, they put this extra piece here on the inside that's not present on the front wheel to force the tire to stick out just that little bit more. And that's also why the front wheel has a gear piece being used as a hubcap here, because it's just a little bit thicker than this Technic bushing that's being used on the rear wheel. And finally, there is an engine build under the hood, but the way the hood is built, it is very difficult to get to because there's really nothing to grab onto to get the hood open. The hood is only attached by 2 clips here, and those clips are kind of stiff. That's another feature I've noticed of BlueBrixx and other non-Lego brands, is that the clip connections are very stiff. And time to insert the one eternity later thing.
One eternity later.
Here we go. And there it is, and we've got our phony engine. And what I think is kind of funny is it actually has a little, let me turn the light on here. Right there, it's like a little windshield washer fluid tank, which is something I don't think I've seen in a brick-built car. Not that I've built many of them, but I thought that was an odd detail to include. But the engine does come out, eventually. It is only held on by a couple of studs, but it is a very, very snug fit. So let's see if I can get this out without damaging it. That's a no. That's a problem. Yeah, and again, I know nothing about cars, so let's just say that engine piece is only held on by one stud. These are only held on by two. And did I have everything? Yes. And that's our engine. I believe that's the air filter. That's about as much as I know about engines of this era. I did say there were no specialized parts. There are a lot of pearl gray parts. I mean, not a lot, but some. But a lot of them are hidden here in the engine compartment. You can see underneath here. That's all the pearl gray. And the engine itself is one of the only parts of the build with this dark tan set of bricks in here that actually uses anything other than yellow, black, or gray. And let's see, putting the engine back is not an easy thing either. This piece here kind of has to be lifted up. I can press it down, and I got to make sure to put this little bicycle handle down, and then the hood will close again. So one other thing I really wasn't sure about when I bought this BlueBrixx model was how it would compare to a Lego Icons car. And I am not a big collector of Lego Icons cars, so I didn't have much to choose to compare to, but I do have the James Bond Aston Martin DB5, and to my surprise, the size comparison is actually more similar than you would think. Even though I think even just looking at this on the screen, it looks like the DB5 just looks huge compared to this sports car, but the difference isn't as huge as I thought it would be. If we line the cars up at the rear bumper and then check out the front bumper, we can see that the Aston Martin only sticks out just a little bit, about an inch. You know, the height of the hood is definitely higher on the Aston Martin and definitely higher on the roof. And width-wise, I would say these are exactly the same. In fact, the Camaro with the rear wheel sticking out just that extra plate is a tad wider. But just counting the bricks, they are both 14 studs wide. Now, size is the only comparison I'm going to make between these two cars because this is a car that's just meant to look like a replica of a real car, whereas this car can do this. Now, I didn't intentionally make this video so I could show off the James Bond car, but this is one of my favorite Lego sets and definitely my favorite large car. And it's not because of the car, it's because of all the things the car can do. And I'm not going to have just built that to not show it off. And there's just a ton of stuff that I love about this car. Now, I am just going to show off the functions of the car and not whether or not it's supposed to actually look like a regular Aston Martin DB5, but I will acknowledge that there are stickers in the set to at least try and make the curves look like, I guess, what they're supposed to. But the doors open nice and easily. Here, in the inside of the passenger door, we've got the first secret compartment, which is a hidden phone in the car. I mean, that's just crazy, right? Having a phone in the car. There's no steering, but there is a steering wheel. And we've got all these printed dial pieces on here. And here we have what looks like a gear shift lever, but that triggers one of the functions. When I move the lever, the little lights down here switch to guns. It reminds me a lot of the video game Spy Hunter, actually. And if we put the lever back the other way, then the lights come back. And that is a surprisingly smooth function. While we're here in the front, we see the license plate on the front bumper, which has lots of different plate numbers that our Super Spy can use. It's not that easy for someone with large fingers to move it around, but that's why I'm going to leave it there since it has my initials on it. Also on the inside, we have this little device here, which can turn around and becomes like a radar. In the back, if somebody's shooting the car from behind, we can twist this tailpipe here and a shield will pop up. And unlike the sports car, this has a trunk that actually opens up, and there's quite a bit of space in there. And we have these two pieces that are stored as extras, but they are to create one of the other functions, and that is to extend the spikes out from the wheels for shredding an enemy's tires, at least on one side of the car. And also in the back, we have the same rotating license plate for when the car needs to be disguised. In the front, it does have an engine, and it's much easier to lift the hood up on this car. The mechanism for holding the hood in allows just that. Our engine also does pop out, and we can see that these revolver pieces are used on the engine. And again, I'm going to say I don't know anything about car engines. Oh, and did I mention that it does this? Yes, the ejector seat, which is just entirely too much fun to play with on this car. But it works by simply pulling a lever here in the back, and that opens the roof, and then releasing it triggers a mechanism on the inside that flips the seat up. So I'm going to put this back and try it again. Yeah, that's too much fun. And since July 4th is an American holiday that is typically celebrated with fireworks, I figured why not show off the latest LEGO gift with purchase, which is called Celebration Ferris Wheel with Fireworks. And that is this set here on the left. The set here on the right was last year's gift with purchase around this time of year, which was another fireworks set, which I've actually already reviewed on my 100 subscriber celebration video. But we'll focus on this one, which is a very unusual color scheme, I think, for a Celebration Ferris Wheel with fireworks, because those colors tell me we're celebrating Easter. The light blue and yellow and green and all the rounded shapes make it seem like we're supposed to have passengers riding around in eggs. And I don't know if there are other fireworks celebrations for Easter in other parts of the world. The fireworks aren't typically part of the American Easter celebration. Anyway, the baskets of the, I'm saying baskets because I've got Easter on the mind, but the places where any riders are supposed to sit are just these half round pieces that are not big enough to put a minifigure in. Maybe you could shove a micro figure in there if you really wanted to, but I don't think that would be worth it. So this is really just for show, but it does spin around fairly easily, and these are all frictionless pins that have the baskets attached. So they all stay upright no matter how fast you spin it. And then up above, we've got fireworks, which is kind of hard to see because I don't have a good background here. Here, I'll let the white of the table serve as our background, but these to me are the highlight of the set, just because you've got lots of translucent pieces in cool colors. But again, these are Easter colors, or at least what I think of as Easter colors. Here you've got yellow, blue, and orange, and a nice use of these gem pieces here at the end. So you actually get 7 of those in this set. And then this one here, which is green cones with orange plates and pink magic wands, which is actually very similar to what last year's set did for at least one of the 2 fireworks. One bad side, though, is these, while they're nice and round, and they use the same firework building technique by just adding translucent pieces around a snowflake, these don't spin, or at least not easily. They're not made to spin easily, whereas last year's spins freely. At least the one on the left does. The one on the right does not. And speaking of spinning freely, there's also a gear on the back of the Ferris wheel so that you don't have to just tap it from outside. We've also got some translucent pieces up and down the side that I guess really simulate lights, just like if you were going to a fairground to ride a Ferris wheel. And if you were, you would get in line here. There's pearl gold pieces there to serve as the gate, and I'm guessing that's where you buy tickets. And one last thing is last year's fireworks set did come with 2 minifigures, which was a nice addition, but this year's comes with none. So I started making this video to actually review the yellow car, but things kind of spiraled out of control, but I'm glad if you stuck around for this long, and I hope you enjoyed this look. I have another BlueBrixx car to build. Hopefully that video will come out in just a few days. And of course, I love showing off the James Bond car. And I had literally just gotten the new gift with purchase earlier today when I'm recording this. And if you are out celebrating somewhere tonight, I hope you're able to stay in your seat and that you remember that today is a good day to build.